Morning, good morning. It is a beautiful Wednesday morning on September 11th, 2024. Before we dive into everything, I just want to honor the forgotten memories of everything that happened on September 11th, 2020, 2001. It was a fateful day that changed all of our lives. And our hearts and prayers go out to everyone who suffered from that event in life. Today, I am honored. So, with all that said, today I am honored to be talking with one of my good friends for years now, Tammy Markham. Tammy and I met we met online through the entrepreneurial space, and we've just followed each other's journeys as life moves on, and we have a lot in common, and I feel like it comes back to our belief in authenticity and really showing the truth that we live as we live it. And so that's why I'm so excited to bring her on the show today and talk about a show that we're going to be working on together called Paving the Path. And Paving the Path is all about understanding that we're not where we want to be. You're not where you want to be. And that is part of life. And so it's going to be us working together, walking together to figure out how do we live that life. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Today, we really want to get to know Tammy. Who is Tammy? What makes her tick? What's her life story? So with that, Tammy, I want to start. My first question is, who the heck are you?
Well, I'm an Austinite suffering with allergies this morning. So we'll start with that. So, in light of being authentic on our show that we're going to be starting, Paving the Path, yes, I live in Austin and we deal with a lot of allergens. And so, of course, the night before we're going to do this, which we've been talking about doing for weeks now, I saw on the weather report that we were going to have some serious allergens hitting our city. And sure enough, it's hitting me pretty good this morning. But Justin and I agreed that we are going to just move forward in light of us being authentic with each other and with our audience, you guys, with this new show. So aside from that, but yes, just please keep that in mind and offer me some grace today while I deal with my runny nose and my eye. But so I am a full-time entrepreneur, self-employed, and when my son left for college when he was 18 years old, I said, I've done my time in corporate America. I've done the 9 to 5. Because I mean I feel like first of all, there's a place for the 9 to 5ers. If we didn't have the 9 to 5ers, we'd be in big trouble, right? But
Yes.
there's a place for entrepreneurs too. And I believe that people that are cut out to be creatives and entrepreneurs, you can't put them in a box for too long. You cannot set them behind a cubicle for too long before they go nuts. And I felt like I did my time, and I needed to do my time in corporate America. And because it worked perfectly raising my son, I raised my son myself from the time he was 5 years old because my husband passed away when our son was 5. So having that structure of my job was perfect to work around Avery. That's my son's name, Avery. To work around Avery's football and school and church and all these other things that we did. But but again, going back to when he went off to college, I said, enough. I can't do this anymore. I cannot do the 9 to 5 anymore. And I want to see what's out there. I want to see what I can do. And one of the things that I was doing at the time to make extra money was to do serving jobs, go out to different stores and and all kinds of different stores, and events and parties and all that, and serve wine and beer and liquor. And I really enjoyed that because I feel like I'm a people person when it comes to working, especially. I love to interact with people and see how I can assist them and how I can give them good customer service. So, and I learned that also. I mean, I was a customer service rep for 14 years at my last job in corporate America. So customer service became a big thing to me. Um, so I decided to just go ahead and do that pretty much full time, with also, having the flexibility that I was looking for, because that's what it really offered me. I could go out and serve whenever I wanted. I wouldn't have to when I didn't want to. And I still do that to this day. And I didn't have to ask anyone off. If I wanted to see my son, if Avery says, "Hey, mom, let's get together," I go, "Let's go." And
Right.
that was a big thing to me too. Is I didn't want to ever have to say no when he wanted to get together. So, but I also wanted to pursue music because I'm also a musician. I've been an Austin musician since I was in my mid-teens, and I've got several musical projects that I'm in that I've helped co-create. And one of them that's really dear to my heart that we're actually working seriously on right now, regrouping. And so I wanted to get back into that, put more focus on that. I also wanted to do some more acting because I'm also a professional actress. So you find that a lot of musicians also do acting, and a lot of actors also do music. That's not always the case, but I see that that's interchangeable a lot. So that's not uncommon. And then I just, I like to just start every day and go, hey, what opportunities are there out there? Because you never know. There might be something new that comes your way that you go, I never thought about doing that. Like, how about a show with Justin? Hey,
Right.
what? You know? Uh,
Yeah.
but I like to keep mine. How can I say this? Let's see. I like to keep my options open, but I also like to understand there is only so much time in the day, and I can't do it all as much as I want to.
Right.
Um, I have had to learn that if you can't do everything at 100%.
Hmm.
So if you've got too much on your plate, you're going to end up doing everything at 50%. So
Right.
I had to kind of hone things down, and by honing things down, then whatever I have left that is really important to me and interesting to me, those are the things that I can do at 100%. So, and that's, to me, that's still an ongoing challenge because I am so entrepreneurial spirited that it is hard for me to say no to things sometimes and say
Yeah.
no to myself. But I've learned that there's as much power in saying no as there is in saying yes. Um,
Yes. I love that. I love the idea that you can only do so many things at
yes,
100%. It's
yes.
just not possible to do everything in your life 100% all of the time. And it's not realistic to look at life that way.
No, Justin, and I have a mentor that I just adore, and he's been one of my mentors for many years. He used to have a church out in Fort Worth, and uh, Dr. Mike Murdoch, and I love his teachings. And he's actually the person that I learned this from. He's the one that he says this repeatedly, that you and I can't, I don't want to repeat it or try and say it the way he does because he says it so eloquently, but that's pretty much what he's getting at, is that you cannot do 100 things at 100%. It's better to do a small amount of things at 100%.
Yeah.
So that really spoke to me, because also that when you battle with ADD, which I
Yeah.
do,
Right.
that's another thing that can, your mind is constantly going, I could do this, and then I could do this, and then boom and boom. And I believe, and I've seen this, that there's a lot of creative people that have an attention disorder of some sort, like ADHD and ADD or whatever.
Right.
But I have honed in on an herb that's really helped me. There's no particular brand. I'm not promoting anything right now, but it's called L-theanine, and it actually is an herb that a bunch of different manufacturers make. But L-theanine has helped me to just calm down, calm my thoughts, and so I'm able to process everything better and be more effective in everything I do. So I think what you learn when you have an attention issue, and I don't know if you battle with
Yeah.
that. You can tell me that here in a
Yeah.
second.
No, I have ADD, ADHD for sure.
Okay.
Along with other opportunities, like I tend to be bipolar. So it's stuff like that that I call them my blessings, but you do have to work through them.
And they are, and you're right. That's a good way to look at it, because it's not. I don't think it's something to look at as a disability or anything like that. But it's like you just learn how to harness it. Okay, it's kind of
Yes.
like the way I look at it in my mind. It's like I look at it that I'm fishing, right? I take a fishing pole and then I'm roping it back in and go, come on back here.
This is
Like,
where we were going.
we can do good things, but just come on back.
Right, right.
I'm sure you understand that feeling, right, Justin?
Oh, I get that feeling all the time, and that's I would say one of the things I've learned on my journey through life is the most important thing for me to say is no, because it is
Yeah.
so foreign for me to say no. I
Yes.
want to say yes to everything, every opportunity, every chance to get together, everything. I'm like, yes, let's go. This sounds great. But
Yes.
I can't just be a yes man, because that will never get me to my goal. And so I love, earlier you were talking about your corporate experience versus your entrepreneurial experience. And
Yes.
I flip flopped on those. So I did entrepreneurial first, and now I'm doing corporate. And what I've found is working at Service X or Secure Pacific, working
Uh-huh.
at Secure Pacific has helped me learn to say no more,
Oh,
because I can't just say yes to everything. And it's
yes.
giving me guide rails to be like, I look at the rules of being employed as the road, yellow lines on a road. I'm bouncing back and forth within these yellow lines, but I'm staying in the lines, right?
Yeah, or like a bowling lane, right? When you have
Yes.
it set up for kids, when you have it set up for your kids, and so it
Yep.
doesn't ever go in the gutter, but it just
Yep.
bounces back and forth until it gets down, and you're like, yay! And they hit some pins.
Exactly. Exactly. And those, sometimes you need those guardrails set
Yes.
up by other people. And
Yes.
that's what I've found in my life has actually been really helpful. And that's why I'm so excited to be a part of corporate America now, is
Yeah.
because it's giving me those guidelines that says, no, this really, even though I want to be doing this, it's not the right time. And
Yeah.
even though I think I can do this, it's not the right time. I need to be focused on what is real
Yes.
today.
Yes. Well, to elaborate, for our viewers
Yeah.
on you and I meeting, because that is a crucial part of what's going on in our
Yeah. I
right.
would I would love to hear your side of this story.
Well, yeah, like Justin said, we've been good friends for a while, for many years. I mean, it's been since like 2019, I believe.
Yep.
And
Yep.
yeah, and we did meet online, and it was through just entrepreneurial stuff that you find other entrepreneurs on. I can never say that word right. You find
Right.
them online in different Facebook groups or whatever. But so I had an event business at that time, and it was very successful until I trusted the wrong person to represent my business, which that is something I teach now in my coaching, is not only how to become successful, but what to look out for, because when you have failures, and you will, in
Yep.
business. That's something Justin and I have talked about, is that, if you're all the successful mentors that I listen to, they have had some serious failures. And, going back to my mentor that I referred to earlier, he talks about all the wrong people that he trusted and all the money he lost and the businesses that it affected. So that's huge to me, is being careful on who you trust. I won't get into that right now, but anyway, so I trusted the wrong person to represent my business, and I ended up having to shut that business down.
Mm.
So, which I'm glad. I really wouldn't want to do that business anymore either. Um, but uh, but anyway, so then I through being friends with Justin online, I just gained a lot of respect for you and what I saw you doing with your businesses, your event boxing and different things you were doing. And I reached out to Justin and said, "Hey, can I get, some advice from you? I want to bounce some stuff off of you." And I talked to him about what was going on, and so I was so desperate for some support. Like, I was just crushed by what was going on with me, uh, at the hands of this person. And he offered me a lot of encouragement and said, like, in a nutshell, he was telling me that he didn't believe what they were saying and what they were, trying to say against me and do and whatever. And he thought it was wrong and unprofessional and all these other things. And he basically just, you gave me comfort and knew that, and you made me feel like you were standing by me. But I also felt like you were not just giving me lip service either, that I laid everything out on the table and said, this is what's going on. And I believe that if you had seen some things that you needed me to see or know, you would have said so. So I appreciated that too. So it just, that was the start of like a deeper friendship to me at that time. And so now I've tried to do the same for
Yeah.
him. It's like the
Totally.
struggles that Justin's going through, and hey, like, you were really there for me in one of my worst times in my life. I tell you what, I am here for you. I'm going to have your back. I'm going to be supportive of you, and but do the same. If there's things we see, we can talk to each other about it or whatever. But anyway, support is so huge in this nation today. One thing I notice when I'm out there doing my serving jobs is people want to talk a lot of times,
Right.
not all the time, but more than they did before when I used to do these serving jobs. They want to connect because we live in such a disconnected society and divisive. And so that's what I try and offer them, is just a few minutes of, like, I know I don't get a lot of time with them because I'm just offering them, some wine or beer or whatever. But it's like, this is my time, just a few minutes. Maybe they're having a really bad day and I can give them some encouragement. And Justin, I think I see you, and I think that's one of the things we have in common is it seems like you do that too. Like, I watch your
Yeah.
Instagrams and they're not always very long, but you just offer a minute or two of some encouragement and go about your day, or you do your devotionals in the morning. And I
Yeah.
know, like we talked about a few days ago, I know there's people, they're not commenting, they're not clicking the heart or whatever, clicking like, but they are watching.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's so true of all of us on this journey through life. So I love meeting new people, and just like you said, being able to speak into their life.
Yes.
You do it through serving. I do
Yes.
it through driving Uber. I
Right.
drive Uber and I absolutely love it. It is my hobby because I have a random stranger get in my car and
Yeah.
I get to act like a bartender and just
Yes.
listen to them and let them share and speak into their life and
Right.
try to lift them up, because
Yes.
we can be the change we need in the world,
Yes.
right?
Right.
And it starts with a decision. It starts with saying, I'm willing to be vulnerable. I'm
Yes.
willing to be open, and I'm
Yes.
willing to be empathetic to my fellow human. Like, if you
Yes.
can do that, we can change the world.
You know
But
what? Amen to that.
it has to start with that decision. Your
Yes.
thoughts on that?
You know what? One of the biggest words that I just took away from what you said was being vulnerable, and I'll give you a couple of examples. Our pastors at our church are amazingly vulnerable, and I have thanked them over and over again. A couple weeks ago, one of our pastors, he talked about he talked about communicating with people and talking about people and how do we do that, and being, real. And he was saying how, our words, we're talking about words right now at our church. Your words are so powerful. And he was saying that, he says, I'm battling with this right now, that I know that my words that I say about people aren't always that great, and I might feel a certain way, but I actually will end up saying the words, relaying that I feel a certain way about them, instead of praying about it, to heal my heart or whatever it is. But he was just really laying all this stuff out on the line that he was being challenged with right now, and saying that he's talking bad about people sometimes, and he's feeling a certain way about people sometimes, and maybe not reaching out to them like he should, because he feels a way about something they did a while back or whatever. And you could tell how uncomfortable he felt, because he started, like, skipping around words or stuttering a little bit or whatever. But at the end of the sermon, everybody in our congregation was clapping, and that does not happen all the time. I mean, we're usually not somber, but we're usually really like in a meditative state based on what the pastors just talked to us about. But
Right.
it just kind of felt like everybody wanted to show him how much appreciation we had, that he was just so vulnerable, and that's the thing, that's the thing that I really appreciate with mentors. And Justin and I had this conversation the other day. I do not want to listen to somebody that is telling me, how successful they are and how perfect they are, and how, their life is perfect and all this stuff. That does not speak to me. And unfortunately, I feel like I kind of fell into a trap for a while, where maybe as a newbie entrepreneur, I felt like I needed to kind of portray this, that everything was perfect in my life, and how successful I was, and all these things, because there are people out there that are successful, that do portray that, and you go, oh, that's what I want, but then when you start getting into business and success, you go, but that's not reality, you know and
Right.
that doesn't speak to everybody, and it sure as heck didn't speak to me. So what I like about what Justin and I are trying to do here for you guys is go, you know what? The path to success is a continuous thing. It's ongoing. And there are going to be struggles, and even the failures you've had, guess what? You're going to have more, and guess what? You're going to be okay. And there's ways that you can get through obstacles, and Justin and I will be here. You guys will have the ability to call in. Well, and just with the successes and the failures we have, we can share our personal opinions with you guys and go, maybe we have a solution for you, maybe we don't, but we can kind of bounce ideas off of each other and offer you some encouragement. But that's kind of what I see. I mean, what kind of mentors really speak to you, Justin? I'm curious.
I love the question. Uh, the mentors that speak to me are the ones who are authentic about their full journey. It is
Yes.
the ones who, so like Tony Robbins is a big mentor of mine, because he tells his whole story from being homeless to um, struggling for food to, hey, this is how I overcome it. And then he's still had struggles even after getting success. Like he'll talk about his struggles during COVID because COVID uh, really disrupted his business model.
Oh,
And you
yes.
you can either sit on the curb and suck your thumb and say, woe is me, or you can pick yourself up and you can carry on and you can figure out the new path forward. And
Yes.
so those are the kind of mentors I look up to.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins is a great one. Gary V is, I'm a huge fan of Gary V and what he teaches, because at the end of the day, compassion and empathy are the true skills a leader needs. Like
I'm
if
not familiar
you,
with Gary V.
Gary Vaynerchuk, you should check him out. You would love him. Uh,
Okay.
so he is an amazing mentor just around how you show up and how you take care of people. And
Yeah.
then I have different mentors for different areas in my life, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So Tony Robbins, Gary Vee, those are more personality, personal development mentors.
Yep.
Cody Sanchez, I don't know if you know the name Cody Sanchez.
No.
She is an amazing coach and investor, and she teaches people about buying boring businesses. So think laundromats, think construction companies, cleaning companies. These are the companies that are on Main Street that really empower our entire society to
Right.
function and
Yes.
take care of our whole society. So she is very transparent. Same with Alex Hermosi. Alex Hermosi teaches, he runs acquisitions.com, and
Okay.
he gives away all this information for free in
Yeah.
hopes to train entrepreneurs how to build a business so that when they get to a certain level, they'll go to him and sell their business to him. He has a
Wow.
extremely clear business model of how he goes to market. And
Yeah.
he's all about being focused on, what do you say no to? What do you want out of life? Because you can have anything you want out of life.
Yes, you
Like
can.
life is yours to design,
That's
but
right.
it's not as important what you'll say yes to as it is to understand what you'll say no to,
Absolutely.
because it is so easy to say yes. As
Yes.
someone with ADHD, I am here to tell you, ask me any question, the answer immediately is yes. Then I think about it and then I think, oh, shouldn't have said yes. Now I've got to go back and change that, right?
Well, I
So
don't. Okay, with that said, I don't know if you deal with this at all. So let's get real about this end of it. So you can swing to the extreme sides of the pendulum. Hold on a second.
yeah,
Let me turn this notification off here. You can go to one extreme or another. You can swing, extremely yes or extremely no. This is what I've been battling with.
yeah,
So I have been doing the same thing. I've been saying no. Um, but now it's to the point where I say no so much that I'm skeptical when I start to say yes about
yeah,
something. Like if it's a new opportunity, and what I mean is if it's a new opportunity, not something that I'm already doing, but if
right,
it's something new, it's like I put it through a microscope, and it's just like, oh my God, it's like it takes an act of Congress for me to say yes to something. It's like, wow, what's happened to me? Before I was saying yes to everything and I was draining myself and I was exhausted. And now, like, I'm saying no to so much that has become my new normal. So it's like, okay, how do I get back to an even, are you dealing with that at all?
I deal with it a lot actually. And here's how I deal with it is I constantly look at what is Justin Stevens' outcome. and not
Yes.
my outcome today, not my outcome this week or this month or this year, but when I die, what do I want on my tombstone? That's how I
Yes.
make decisions through life. And I
Yes.
have a very clear outcome that I'm working towards. I have a very clear picture of who Justin Stevens at 75 years old is. I'm 37. I make decisions on a 40-year timeline. And so, because of that, it makes it easier for me to understand, is this yes getting me closer to that outcome?
Oh, that's good.
Because I have a guiding light for the life I want to live. And most
Mm,
people, if you ask them, okay, what's your goals? Have you ever got the response, I don't have goals, or I don't even know what I'm going to do next week. How could I
yeah.
know what I'm going to be doing in 3 years?
Right.
See, time, I believe time is the most valuable asset all of us own. And so
Yes.
if you don't have an intention around how you invest, the most valuable asset you'll ever own, you're never going to get where you want to go. But it starts with your intention. And that's
Yes.
one of the things I try to do on my blog and this show and my podcast is just
Yes.
empower people to understand it is your dream. It is
Yes.
no one else's dream. And no
Yes.
one will fight for it.
Nope.
No one will support it, especially
Nope.
when they don't see it. And
Yes.
you have 24 hours a day. The
Yes.
idea that someone knows what your ultimate goals are, they know who all your connections in the past are, and what you're trying to do in the future are, is crazy. We just
Yes.
can't know each other as deeply as we know ourselves.
That's
And
right.
so you have to get super clear on your outcome. If you
Yeah.
know your outcome, then
Hmm.
it takes the pain away from those yes no decisions on a day-to-day basis. Does that
Oh,
make
that's
any
so good.
sense?
That's good, Justin. That's a good way to look at it. Because yeah, I guess well, that explains why I am so well,
Right.
maybe this way, who
Right.
knows? Be-
Exactly.
Yeah, because I don't have that long-term outcome view. I'm just kind of, I don't want to say going with the flow of things because I am saying no to so much because I don't want to just go with the flow and just take every opportunity. But because I'm saying no to so much, yeah, well, and with the stuff I'm saying yes to, I don't really have a clear picture of what that's gonna look like to me in 5 to 10 years from now, or kind of what you were saying. You've got that long-term goal to shoot for. So, yeah, I think it is important to put opportunities through the microscope a little bit because
Yeah.
especially when you've been burned, like we have in business, it's important that you do kind of go, well, is this legitimate? Is this an opportunity I want to do? And take it through all these filters. I think you do need to have that process, but I think you can go too far one way or the other. Something else I've been dealing with too lately, and I know we don't have a lot of time left, but it's boundaries. I've
Yes.
realized that I have not set good boundaries with people over my life. And I was talking to one of my best friends about it, and he said, "Well, you know why? You didn't exactly learn that from your parents." And he says, "Neither did I." And he says, and he's an AA sponsor, so he speaks at prisons and all this, so we bounce a lot of stuff off each other. And he said, so we've had to learn how to set boundaries. And so when you're doing that, it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable. When you start setting boundaries with people and you go, wow, and it feels good, you know, maybe like an hour later or whatever, you go, wow, I'm proud of myself. But when you're doing it, it doesn't feel good because it doesn't feel normal. And so I've
Yeah.
been doing that so much that there's times when I have to go, whoa, settle down, chill out. We've learned some lessons today. We've set some new boundaries today, but maybe let it go for the rest of the day. There is progress being made. I don't have to be hyper vigilant about every conversation while I'm setting these new boundaries. So that can be a problem too. You can either let everybody walk all over you, or you go to the other side of the pendulum and you're setting boundaries with every person in every conversation you have. So, I don't know if you're dealing with
Yeah,
any of that right now.
all the time. I am a freaking doormat. Like I'm it's been one of the hardest things to change. And
Yep.
so when you start setting boundaries, people do not like it.
No.
That I've set a lot of boundaries for myself of what
Hmm.
I'm willing to put up with and what I'm not willing to put up with, and
Yep.
how I'm going to live my life, and what
Yes.
uh, input I'm willing to accept from other people
Yes.
about how I live my life.
Yes.
And I have lost a lot of friends, and
Yep.
I'm going through, to be totally transparent, I'm going through a divorce because of all of that, because I'm trying to set boundaries for my life. And those boundaries are not acceptable to a lot of people. And
Right.
that's just how life is. But
Yes.
at the end of the day, eventually you have to stand up for yourself. And that's what
Mm.
I've learned, because no one else is going to do it. No one else is just waiting to say, "Oh, how can I help you? How can I support you?" Right?
No.
Like,
No.
the president's not going to save you. They just won't. It doesn't matter who's the president. It doesn't matter who your boss is. It
No.
doesn't matter who your spouse is. You are the master of your own destiny. And if
Yes.
you don't own that, if you can't set boundaries around it, you'll never get where you're trying to go. And
Yes.
a lot of people don't like boundaries because they want you to go where they want you to go, not where you want to go.
That's
And
right.
I think that is one of the really hard things about boundaries, especially when you start setting them with friends and family,
Yes.
because there's a lot out there, right? And so that's one thing I would encourage everyone listening to this show is to reassess: what are your long-term goals? What what do you want to see on your gravestone? Does it say he made every meeting at 6 o'clock at night and forgot his family?
Yeah.
Does he say amazing dad?
Yeah.
What does it say? That's your guiding light. And then set boundaries around: how do I show up today to
Yes.
make that a reality without compromising on that reality today,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And it's, as a father and husband, it's really hard, because if you're not on the same page, how do you set those boundaries? And if you can't talk through what page you're on, how do you get on the same page?
That's
It's
right.
impossible. And so that's one thing I'd leave our audience with is: keep in mind those boundaries are your roadmap to success.
Yes.
They are
Plus, it's
your
just, I mean, for me, it's just been,
bumpers.
like you said, you've been a doormat, right, for a long
Yep.
time. I feel like I have been that way also, and I feel like it comes from a place of wanting to be a people pleaser. And
Yep.
that also goes into all the yeses that we've said, probably with all these opportunities, because we don't want to let people down. So we'll say yes, yes, yes. So it's like the boundaries just kind of encompass all that, learning how to say no. learning how to go, you know what, I'm not a doormat, okay? Like I deserve to be respected just like how I respect you. That was really what started to surface for me recently, is I thought, you know what, I treat people with a lot of respect. Why am I not getting a lot of that back? What am
Right.
I putting out? And you have to think of that too, because you go, what is my role? What am I putting out that makes these people feel like they can walk all over me? Because it is a vibe. It is a vibe. Also, it's your aura. So you have to stand strong, be firm and stern, not angry or mean. You're much more effective with your message, I believe, when you're just stern and firm and not angry. But, you
Yeah.
know, sometimes if people aren't respecting that boundary you're setting, you might have to get angry. I've
Eh,
had to do that a few times, especially when you're trying to set boundaries with people that already know who you've been all this time, and they don't want that. Like you said, I think you said earlier, they don't want that change. So that's been rough, is dealing with some of the people that have known me for a while without those boundaries and setting them, and they're like, what's the matter with you? And you're like,
yes. Yes.
No, this is about the way you're treating me. Like, don't make this about me. This is about the way you're treating me that I don't accept. So, anyways, but yeah, Justin and I are excited to do this show. We both got to run. We got a busy day, but we're gonna have it to where we have you guys call in and we talk about stuff. But the next show that we're doing, we're gonna be focusing on you, Justin, aren't we?
Awesome. Yeah. So next time, Tammy's gonna interview me on my journey through life, and I get
Yes.
to talk all about my childhood, growing up, my professional career, and what I see my future as, and what I see on that gravestone, where I
Yes.
think 75-year-old Justin's gonna be, because
Nice.
I want to share my goals with you, right? We're
Yes.
on a journey through life together.
We are.
We're all in this together. And then
Yes.
after the show, after that, I'm going to do the exact same for Tammy. And so you're going to get to know both of us. And then we'll dive into the show where we invite guests on and you share what you want to be doing. You share
Yes.
what you're struggling with or whatever, right?
Right.
This is an open show. There's no agenda, there's no real pathway. It is, how do we authentically help each other through life?
Right. Love it.
So, with that said, thank you everybody for tuning in. Really appreciate it. And we will talk to y'all next time.
Bye, guys.